As the primary data trail of the Montauk Project had been deliberately obfuscated, the second approach was to pursue an avenue of investigation that centered around the primary characters involved in the story and their connections to the occult. In 1986, Preston Nichols was paid a strange visit by a man who identified himself as William Berkeley, the historian for a British electronics conglomerate, Thorny MI, the company which distributed the Philadelphia Experiment movie. The historian was curious about a photograph in the archives of Thorny MI that included an older version of Preston with three other men from the late 1800s, two of whom Mr. Berkeley identified as the Wilson brothers, the first manufacturers of scientific instruments in Great Britain, who shared a partnership with Edward Crowley, a wealthy brewer and engineer who was the father of Aleister Crowley, an occultist who chose to identify himself as the Antichrist and used the appellations 666 and the Beast. The Wilson-Crowley partnership was a seed company which later evolved into Thorny MI, an electronics and entertainment conglomerate that has sometimes been identified as the war machine referred to in Aleister Crowley's book, The Book of the Law. I began my own quest to verify the existence of these mysterious Wilson brothers by looking into Aleister Crowley's autobiography. Although no references were found for the Wilson brothers, the book clearly stated that Aleister Crowley had visited Montauk Point in 1918 and that one of his good friends was named Duncan Cameron. While these very interesting discoveries did not provide a historical reference for the Wilson brothers, the experience of looking into Crowley's autobiography served as a literal passport into the world of the occult, which manifested as a cascading series of synchronicities or coincidences associated with the name Cameron. The most significant aspect of these synchronicities, which are detailed in the book Montauk Revisited, is that the manifestation of the name of Cameron and the family thereof were swirling around the personage of Aleister Crowley, 666 and the Beast. This included, but was not limited to, Dr. Donald Ewing Cameron, the head of the American Psychiatric Association, who was a vicious proponent of mind control and headed up MK-Ultra, both positions being obtained subsequent to his interrogation of Nazi Deputy Führer Rudolf Hess. The cascading synchronicities that accompanied the pursuit of the name Cameron led to fascinating, if dark corners of consciousness, one of which led to a spontaneous and unexpected face-to-face meeting with Hymenaeus Beta, the outer head of the OTO, or Ordo Templi Orientis, the organization that Crowley had left behind to carry out his will. To my delight, Hymenaeus Beta was courteous enough to arrange an introduction to the most controversial and fascinating Cameron that I would come to know, Marjorie Cameron, the wife of Jack Parsons, whom had engaged in the Babylon working with her husband and L. Ron Hubbard in 1946. After hearing my story, Cameron told me that the Camerons and Wilsons were intertwined genetically and that her birth name was really Wilson, and that she was raised by an uncle whose surname was Cameron. She also told me that L. Ron Hubbard was really a Wilson, his father having been adopted by the Hubbard family. During this search, I also received a letter from a bastard son of Aleister Crowley, who recalled his father talking about the Wilson brothers, and he said they were friends of H.G. Wells, the author of The Time Machine. He also recalled that the Wilson brothers were sterile twins. If you properly understand all of the factors involved in these various experiences and coincidences, the implications are staggering. By trying to verify the historical veracity of the Wilson brothers, I had discovered much more than I had bargained for, as well as a prospect that would surpass the significance of any historical verification. I had learned that the name Wilson itself was not just a passport to occult knowledge, but more specifically, a passport into a cosmic drama of the highest order, where all of these experiences and coincidences are swirling around a particular momentum of energy that is associated with, ultimately, the concept of the classic archetypal struggle between the Antichrist and the Christ, but particularly as it relates to the subject of time travel, and also with regard as to how it is being played out by the specific genetic lines involved. So it is that the consciousness of mankind is not only restricted and locked up within the mechanics of time, but also within the genetic construct of the Cameron and Wilson clans, who are themselves juxtaposed upon the morphogenetic grid so as to be inextricably connected to the function of time, as well as the control and manipulation thereof. While the usefulness of this unconventional means of investigation by synchronicity is quite apparent, its validity would prove itself even more as time went on, and information would continue to blossom. My investigation would not be denied. The best was yet to come.